wonderful way to enter into the consideration of our oneness with all of life. Thanks. It brought a smile to my heart, Lisa. It's great to be here anytime. It's always a pleasure to be back with you here in the Austin Center for Spiritual Living online, especially this first day of Advent, the beginning of the traditional Christian calendar year. Advent, coming from the Latin word adventus, meaning arrival. It's a time of anticipating the arrival of the birth of the Christ child, the incarnation of spirit in human form. Traditionally, for Lent, Advent, had been a time of penitence and contemplation, solemnness. But in the last couple of centuries, since the 18th century, when the German Protestants marked the weeks of Advent with 4 uplifting spiritual virtues, increasingly it's become a season of cheer as the 4 virtues of hope, peace, love, and joy lead us toward the possibility of the Christ child being born in each one of us anew. Now, I know that as a New Thought community, the Austin Center for Spiritual Living considers Jesus the Christ so much as not a historical or divine incarnation, but as a teacher and way shower of that which is embodied in the possibility of becoming more and more evolved spiritually, or being a Christ. And so today, as we gather, I choose to focus on the theme for the first Sunday of Advent, which is hope and faith. And I do so even as the world around me seems to challenge that hope with awful news of the bloody wars in Ukraine and Gaza, and the dreary predictions of climate catastrophe coming out of the Global Climate Summit in previous weeks, and the awful shootings in Washington, D.C. of the National Guard, which calls now for more guards, more troops in more cities, for more crackdowns. The list just goes on and on of things challenging my hope and joy, but I choose to stay grounded in hope and faith anyway. And today I do so by coming to you not as a guest speaker, but as a math teacher. I'm here to discuss a simple but complex mathematical formula I've been puzzling over for 40 years now. And by way of introduction, I'd like to give you a pop quiz. 1 + 1 equals... Most of you would agree that the answer is 2. Certainly in the traditional linear thinking culture that we've been schooled in, the physical world, that's the obvious answer. If Jane has 1 apple and Billy gives her another apple, now she's got 2 apples. 1 + 1 equals 2 in the real world. But as your metaphysical math teacher for the morning, I posit that the equation really is 1 + 1 equals 1, because there is but one presence and one power in the universe and in my life. The principle oneness states that all of life is one, that everything we can see and can't see, everything we love and hate, everything we like or don't like, all is a reflection of the one presence, the one infinite mind that has created all and is constantly creating and evolving again and again. Now, the world would have us believe that we're separate from each other, that our enemies are those people, and that our problems are out there. But as students of the metaphysical principles underlying the sound science of mind, we know better. We know that there is one presence, one mind, one consciousness, and we forget. That's what it is to be human. So today we gather here online to remind each other and ourselves of the truth of who we are, and to sink into the feeling and the awareness and the experience grounded here in our hearts and in our minds that we are one with all creation. I'll spend a few minutes exploring the importance of seeing beyond what Deepak Chopra has famously termed the superstition of materialism. And that's what it is. It's a superstition founded on the true but erroneous belief in a world of separation, a world of you being separate from me, a world where the physical is separate from the metaphysical, the material separate from the spiritual. And this superstition inevitably leads to a sense of loss, of division, of competition for supposedly limited resources, and a zero-sum game of winners and losers, where if I don't get mine, you'll get it. And if you get yours, then I won't have enough. Because of that seeming belief in 1 + 1 = 2 in a world of binary thinking. But Dr. Ernest Holmes, along with numerous contemporary teachers ranging from Joel Goldsmith to Deepak Chopra and Marianne Williamson and Ram Dass, many different teachers using different words and stories and teachings to point us toward the possibility of realizing our spiritual illumination, the ability to see beyond the veil of separation, to understand and experience the underlying oneness. I'd like to invite you to just breathe with me into this moment, as if we're hearing for the very first time something we've heard many times before here in the New Thought community called the Austin Center of Spiritual Living. And that is that the one presence, the one infinite mind that embraces each of us and everything we've ever thought, felt, and hoped for, that oneness is present here and now. And despite the fact that we forget, Joel Goldsmith, a powerful spiritual teacher, in his book, The Infinite Way, reminds us that development of spiritual consciousness begins with our first realization that what we are beholding through our senses of sight, hearing, taste, and smell is not the reality of things. The first ray of spiritual illumination brings us hints of the divine, the eternal, the immortal. Won't you sink into that with me? The realization that what we behold through the senses of sight, hearing, taste, and smell is not the reality of things. Thanks to the ever-evolving science of quantum physics, we know what the great spiritual teachers have been trying to tell us since time out of mind, that all of life is a dance of relationship, of interconnection, that everyone and everything from the largest star in the farthest corner of the galaxy to the smallest insect crawling through our backyard, from the oldest, largest dinosaur fossil to the blood cells in our body, each is not a separate entity, but simply a collection of particles in relationship with itself and with all other particles in a field of energy we call life. We also know that what we see is but a tiny portion of what exists. That all of creation is dancing in this vibration we call life along a continuous spectrum that we call the electromagnetic spectrum, containing 7 kinds of waves: radio waves, microwaves, infrared, visible, ultraviolet, X-rays, and gamma rays. And this range of magnetic rays is vast, beyond comprehension. But for the sake of illustration, I'd like for you to consider spreading your arms out wide wherever you are. And considering that from fingertip to fingertip is embracing all of the electronic magnetic spectrum, okay? This wide as your arms. And that what you can see, the visible spectrum, is about that much compared to what there is. And that what we humans can see is even a smaller fraction of that, because eagles and dogs can see much more than we can see. And lizards and butterflies see differently from how we see. They see colors and parts of the spectrum that we can't even begin to imagine. Why do I mention all this? Because it leads us toward comprehending the mystery, and only toward, because my mind at least can't begin to comprehend the mystery of the fact that contemporary science now knows that we can see only 5% of the universe. Someone somewhere has figured out how much the universe weighs. I don't know how. That's beyond my comprehension. And has determined that all the hundreds of billions of stars in all the hundreds of billions of galaxies together weigh only 5% of the known mass of the universe. And the other 95% is dark matter. Another way of saying mystery. And in the face of this magnificent mystery, in the face of being aware of how little we know of what there is to know, how little we are in the face of how much there is, how much contemporary psychology and neurobiology has shown us that what we see and perceive is deeply colored by our biases. That what we see, we've been trained to see by society, but there is so much more to see, because there is more than one perceptual truth. Again and again, I at least feel called to be humble in the face of so much majesty, in the awareness of what a wonderful world this is. In the New Testament book of John, we read the story of Thomas, the doubting disciple, who needed to see and feel the marks of crucifixion in Jesus' body before he would believe that this person in front of him was the resurrected Christ. To which Jesus responded, "Stop doubting and believe." And then saying, "Blessed are those who have not yet seen and yet have believed." So I think the question that confronts me and which I'm posing to you today is, are you willing to believe? Are you willing to take a fresh look beyond what you can see with your eyes and open to what the higher power of your understanding has to show you with the eyes of your heart? Are you willing to live from a place of the I am that I am, the one who was before anything and will continue after everything, the one who is unlimited and unfettered and untroubled and harmonious and free, the one who is the true you. Are you and I willing to be disappointed again and again by the world, to be scared again and again by the headlines we read in the news and see coming across our computer screens and smartphones, and to return again and again to a place of hope and faith and trust in the I am that I am? Even as you and I forget, which we do on a regular basis because that's what it is to be human, the question is, can we become willing to remember, to release that false sense of separation and rest in the infinite, all-powerful, indwelling presence that wants to, needs to, is designed to prosper every one of our acts and thoughts if we allow it. That means realizing, making real the truth that everything that's good and wonderful in our lives is the shining forth of our consciousness. And that every evil appearance, all disease, any sense of lack is a false perception of the harmony underlying our lives. We're here to practice that truth as a community. We don't get to meet in person today, we're meeting online, but that in no way limits our connection to our deepest selves and to each other. In no way does it detract from the truth of who we are. For many centuries and many places, spiritual beliefs were focused around praising and blessing and being fearful of a distant God, based on begging and pleading for that distant God to deliver good, like some Amazon fulfillment center in the sky. But you and I have been gifted here in this new thought community called the Austin Center for Spiritual Living with the awareness that we can embrace this moment with brand new eyes as we look around and within ourselves, and remember that we are free to embrace a living, indwelling consciousness, one which sees the world not with judgmental eyes, but with an open, receptive heart. As Joel Goldsmith says in his book, The Infinite Way, instead of repeated efforts to make good come to us, our every good unfolds without conscious effort if we allow spiritual illumination to relax our personal efforts and rely more and more on the divine unfolding in our lives. In closing, I'd like to share the story told long ago and far away, or perhaps not that long ago, in a place much closer than you might imagine. When a farmer came to the Buddhist monk and said, "Sir, please help me. My rice crop is failing. My cow is dying. My teenage son, who used to be so wonderful and helpful, is now just miserable and snarling at me all the time. I'm upset. My wife's upset that I'm upset. And I'm upset that my wife is upset. Please help us. We've got real problems." And the monk said, "I'm sorry, I can't help you." He said, "But you're the Buddhist monk. You know everything. You know, can't you do something to help us?" And the monk said, "No, I cannot help you, for every human has at least 83 problems and is suffering from those problems." And the monk, and then the farmer said, "So what good is all the meditation practice and prayers that we lift up on a regular basis?" And the monk said, "Well, it helps with the 84th problem. And the farmer said, "What is that?" The 84th problem is a desire not to have any problems. So this morning, I invite you, as I invite myself, to come grounded into this moment with a renewed willingness to see beyond our problems, beyond our desire to have no problems, and to instead be willing to accept and embrace and face our capacity to see beyond our separation and into our oneness, now, and now, and now. And from that place of invitation, I'm going to invite you into meditation. This morning, it will take the form of a poem I will read you by poet Jeff Foster, which I will then restate as an invitation. Do you ever get the feeling? Do you ever get the feeling that you live on the threshold of pure possibility? That you are life itself, and that the power that creates galaxies moves through you? Do you ever get the feeling that you are that power? And every thought, every sensation, every feeling, however intense, however uncomfortable, is itself an expression of that same power? Do you ever get the feeling that no thought or sensation is against you? That you are vast enough to hold it all? That you are not a person becoming conscious, nor a seeker seeking that which seekers seek, but consciousness itself, pretending to be a person becoming conscious? That you are the destination and the origin? That love is closer than your next breath? And that infinite peace is your nature and birthright? Do you ever get the feeling that you live on the threshold of pure possibility, where all the wonders of the universe are already yours? I invite you to sink into the feeling that you live on the threshold of pure possibility now. That you are life itself, and that the power that creates galaxies moves through you now. You are that power. And every thought, every sensation, every feeling, however uncomfortable, however fragile, is an expression of that same power. You're invited to feel that you are vast enough to hold it all. That you are not a person becoming conscious, but consciousness itself pretending to be a person becoming conscious. That you are the wave which cannot be divided from the ocean. That love is closer than the next breath. That infinite peace is your nature and birthright. I invite you to remember and feel that you live on the threshold of pure possibility, and all the wonders of the universe are already yours. All the wonders of the universe are already yours. we name it and claim it and say, it is so. Amen.